Hi everybody, it's Chris Fletcher from musicbizmentors.com, and we're the host of Making Money Making Music podcast. And this is podcast number 8. And so our next interview, we're going to interview somebody who started to do session work, and then it went into a lot of other kinds of things just because he had great music skills. So that's the things we're going to talk about today. If you have great music skills, what kind of jobs could you possibly get? And we'll be doing some more stuff on our YouTube coming up. We do different series where we talk about how to get yourself ready to do different kinds of session work, including vocal session work. If you're a good melodic songwriter, what you can do, those kind of things. And we will take some time and do also probably a podcast coming up with a couple of music supervisors to talk about how you submit to TV and film and advertisements and things like that. So let's get into it today. So I'm gonna pull up the PowerPoint for when we put this up on YouTube. So what we do is we actually put the audio up on a Thursday, and the following day we put the video up on the Music Biz Mentors YouTube page. So you can follow along if you'd like to. So let's get started. So what jobs are available for you if you are a really good musician at your instrument? And so we're not just talking musical instruments here, we're also talking about vocals. There's a lot of different jobs that you can do through session work, those kind of things. And making sure that you vary your genres are going to be just open up the opportunity for you to possibly do more session work. And one of the biggest things for most of these, and especially for session players, you need to let other musicians know, producers know, engineers know that you are available for session work. And what they'll probably do is, once they pick you, is they will send you something to an MP3 to listen to, a rough, those kind of things, and they may even send you some music to learn, and they want you to learn it exactly like they give it to you. But then you might want to start thinking about maybe they want you to do a solo spot, or want you to jam in different areas. So it's something to think about. So session work, there's enough of it out there. We're going to talk a little bit about what I think you need and to get started in that. The next one I have here is corporate work. You know, if you are, again, good at your instrument, they'll just hire you to play flamenco guitar for an hour, or to sing for somebody walking down the aisle at the wedding, that kind of stuff. So not just solo, but also versus having a band. With a lot of these things, they'll want you to do covers. And so I don't want you to do covers if you don't want to do covers, but a lot of people don't mind doing covers because you can make some pretty nice money doing those kind of things. And you contact the group salesperson at the hotels, the big hotels who have those kind of events, and then party planners. And just Google it. Just Google your area and find out who's there. And you have to have a video, and you have to maybe have a list of, a little bit about the band. A video is number one when you start looking at that kind of stuff. So you want to do some kind of sizzle reel where you do a little bit of all different kinds of music so they can hear it. So corporate work, there's lots of money there. And so it depends on, again, if you know your instrument really well, and if you're willing to do cover work, those kind of things. Background composing. People are selling and licensing their beats left and right. There's a difference between selling that music and then or licensing it, which means that if you sell it to them, they buy it outright where you can't give it to anybody else. But if they license it for their own production only, then you can be using that over and over again with different kinds of things. One of the other ones I have here is being a music director, okay? Churches, different kinds of bands, even theater bands. They need people to help compose music for different things, for choirs, those kind of things. And so if you're really good at directing, getting people rehearsed and stuff like that, that's also sits under music production. So we actually know a friend that during the pandemic, someone came to him and needed a band, and he knows a lot of players, so he got them together and he rehearsed them for recording, and then he was also the production coordinator and also performed. So there is money there. There's a lot of musicians out here that need a really rehearsed band to maybe either perform with them or even to go in and do the session work or to record those kind of things. So again, music director, you need to be really good at putting music together for different kinds of shows and things like that. Maybe you become an instrument master, right? I know quite a few guitar players, bass players, keyboard players who just are great at what they do, right? So sometimes you can go to whatever company that you use for your instrument and see if you can do clinics for them. People make some real good money doing that, showing new tunings on a guitar for their video programs, those kind of things. Even being a company rep for whatever kind of instrument that you feel really strongly about, those kind of things. That comes with you maybe introducing yourself to a lot of the equipment companies at the NAMM show. NAMM show happens twice a year, happens usually in California around the end of January at the Anaheim Convention Center, and then they usually have one in July in Nashville. So if you want to get an endorsement through somebody, if you want to do some of this work and work for them, that is the best way to actually meet everybody who is a part of that stuff. If you are good at teaching music, and you won't believe how many people who feel like even though they've been through school that they can't teach music. The whole idea of teaching music, and especially if you're teaching, let's say you're teaching kids, they usually pick it up 6th or 7th grade kind of thing, 5th, 6th, or 7th grade, that you can go out and you can do your own. I know somebody who actually went out to schools and talk to the principal and said, can I do an after school program for free for the kids as long as I can give out my card so I could possibly have some music lessons with them, those kind of things. And he said that if he was a guitar player, and if he brought a guitar with him and they held it, he had them, right? And so people get influenced really young, but I'm not just saying kids. There's a lot of adults that want to learn their instrument or just be able to play a couple songs on piano. Or how about the vocalist that might want to try on, The Voice or American Idol or, any of those kind of things that they need to have a better vocal coach and things like that. So you just never know as a music teacher. You can do it yourself and contact and do a little at a time. Or you can go to a music school like one of my musicians did, and she was working part-time at 2 music schools and within a year started working full-time. And she pretty much worked from 3:30 to 8:30 in the afternoon and then would go sometimes on weekends, sometimes a little longer in the evenings if it was adults kind of thing. So there's a lot of possibilities. Sometime in your life, someone will come up to you and see you play and say, can you teach me? And so don't say no until you figure out what do they want to play. And maybe, especially if it's a bunch of pieces that are really, really hard, then maybe you make them a little bit easier for them to pick up and then kind of explore as you go on. Music teachers make a lot of money and call their own shots. So there are ways to do those kind of things. I will take a day where I just talk about those things to kind of give you ideas to jump off yourself, whether you're doing it online or you're doing it in person, that kind of thing. And then I have this last one here is tour crew work. And I did this because I had a friend who started doing some guitar teching for some of the bands that were around. And while he was doing, guitar teching and performing, they were like, man, where did you come from? You sound really good. And started getting some people who had them go out on the road and perform, that kind of thing. So these are just some of the jobs that if you are a great player, that you can set yourself up to do. So I'm going to move a little on. I'm going to talk a little about session work, and I'm going to talk about being a musician and instrument session work, and we're also going to talk about vocal session work. So for me, get your music samples of your work on YouTube or SoundCloud. So showing that you do rock and you do different kinds of rock, or you do rock and jazz and blues and hip hop or whatever it is. People want to see that and hear that before they may hire you for something. List of your credits, show different genres of music. Even if you performed or recorded with a musician, get a sample of that work. Always get a sample of the work that you worked on, no matter what. And so you can use it for your sample, so people can hear that and hear what you've done with different other kinds of people. So even if the band is not familiar to people, put the name of the band in parentheses, put the genre of music it is. Get together your independent projects and make a list of those kind of things. Get a simple web page, add a resume, that's going to make a difference when you look at those kind of things. And maybe even who you studied with, and use their credits until you get your own. So if you studied with, a drummer who is now in, I don't know, Bruno Mars or something like that, then use that, and you'll have the person's name in parentheses, who they've been playing with, those kind of things. That shows what kind of teacher that you've had. So people forget that, but you need to put that in there because it shows how you've been taught. It's important. Then check out the studio websites for contacts and stuff like that. Ask about a runner position at some of those, and then let them know you also do session work, because it might be a good way to get yourself in there, right? A lot of studios would rather have a runner that they pay than have an intern, because the interns only have a certain amount of time. Well, if you're a runner, and especially if you specialize in one instrument or another, especially when they bring certain people in, that kind of stuff, if you know how to also record, or maybe have to jump on for somebody, those kind of things. That's how some people start to get in there, or even to get to know who the producers are that come through, and then they get to know you. And a lot of producers will use their own bands, their own musicians when they record, those kind of things. So it's really important that if you want to do session work, we get involved in all that, right? Make a business card with a QR code on it so people can listen to your work, or go to a web page, anything like that, right? Attend area jams or start one. Open mics, those kind of things. The people who are at open mics are usually solo players, right? Who may need a band to have you perform at a recording or perform live, those kind of things. And so I know for us that we have different jams around town here in Los Angeles, and all the musicians who are on the road or need session work all show up, do cover material, and let each other know that they need to do more session work, right? And so a musician will always call you for another gig. So if they can't do it, or if they need another player, they'll always call you. So again, if you have not gone to an open mic night, you don't have one in your area, go to an area coffee house, restaurant, anything like that, and say, hey, how about Monday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, whatever you want to feel like, how about if I host an open mic here, or a jam night, right? It could be just once a month. It could be the first Thursday. It could be every single week if you want. So that's how you draw other musicians in, so you guys can start a little network. It's so important that you know other musicians that not only play your instrument, but play a lot of other instruments too. Let other musicians know that you're looking for work. That's where you get most of your referrals from, other musicians who are looking, because they know that people are looking for certain things. So it's very important when you do that. Again, if you are looking for session work and you don't know your studios, just Google it. It'll tell you what's around there. And then there's a magazine called Music Connection magazine, musicconnection.com, and they have industry lists. And if you go on, hit the industry list, And there are ones for, they don't cover everything, but they cover studios around the US. So it's not just in California, but it's all over, and at least will get you started. And it gives you their contact information, what kind of people go to record there, and usually who's in charge of what those things are. So this is how we start getting session work, right? And sometimes they'll pay you to do one song, and sometimes they'll pay you to do more than one song. So it's very important that you keep up with those things, because I said that most people, most musicians in their lifetime will do session work, they'll perform live with people, and they'll teach somebody. Sometime in your lifetime, you'll do all those things if you're a good enough musician. So these are just things that we're talking about to kind of get you get an idea of maybe where you want to focus, those kind of things. So let's talk about vocal session work. Here we go for the vocalist. Make a sample of your vocal work. Do a variety. Do 30 seconds of blues, jazz, whatever, hip hop, R&B, soul, whatever you know that you can do. Just do a sample. Just get online, put it on your phone. It doesn't have to, you don't even have to go to a studio for that. They just want to hear what you're able to do. Make a resume and credit sheet again on a website if possible. So important that we try to do that, or go to Canva. There's a free version, there's a paid version. Go online and you can do an EPK and you can send it to them that has samples of your work, a little information about who you work with, those kind of things. One day we'll talk about EPKs. I will actually come online and we'll go over a couple and talk about what you should be putting down when you're looking at those kind of things. Again, the samples of your work should be, what kind of music genre can you do? Can you do harmony? You need to be able to call somebody else in so you can show that you can do harmony. What maybe ads or TV trailers, maybe you find one and you just do it in your own voice, those kind of things. And then think about Audible. How popular is Audible? So if you're really good at reading and changing your voice for different characters and stuff like that, then maybe you also do that. That will help with ads and singing, because advertising companies need all kinds of musicians and vocalists. And we're just talking even voiceover work. So you want to think about that stuff. So join a singers network. And if you don't have one, I don't believe it. I believe that you have one. You're just not paying attention to it, right? So you need to go online and see if there's a singers meetup group in your area. And if there isn't, then start one so you can see what's going on. I had a girl that was from Chicago, and she goes, "Oh, we don't have a singers network here." And I said, "That's not true." And she goes, "We only have like choirs, like church choirs here." I said, "Well, you need to join one, because I bet you those people are working, as vocalists." She goes, "Oh, I don't think so." I said, "I think they probably are. They're just not talking about it," right? So I said, so take a sight singing class. You'll meet other musicians. The person who's giving the class is probably also looking for great vocalists, those kind of things. Voiceover class, again, if you want to do voiceovers and you can do different voices and you can sing in different tones and all that kind of stuff, then take a voiceover class, right? Join an existing choir, ask singers if they have a meetup group, go to music jams, open mic nights. Where the singers all meet is at SAG-AFTRA. That's a singing acting organization. So look to see if you have one in your town. And they have different kinds of events and things like that. This is how you start meeting people. It's very important that you start letting people know who you are, what you want to do, and kind of just always have a little card on you so people can go in and listen to all your samples, those kind of things. If you want to be, if you think you're good enough and you're a good enough sight reader to maybe do some TV and film singing, introduce yourself to people who do that. And, they'll add you to the choir with those kind of things. That's how you get a foot in the door here. This is not having an agent. This is you getting involved with the musicians who are in your area. Yes, it's going to take some time. Yes, you got to explore a little bit. But this is where the vocalists get those kind of jobs. A friend of mine, Claudine, she's been singing for TV and film forever. Her and five other women who sing great together get called all the time with those kind of things. And they don't even have an agent, right? They know each other. And so they'll give each other work, they'll include them in the work, those kind of things. So there is session work all over the place for instruments and for vocalists, those kind of things. So just start thinking about those things. Why not? I think it's a good idea to kind of get out there and let people know and have yourself recorded on other mediums and all that kind of stuff. And then this last thing here I have, let's say you're a great melody maker. You're really good at putting music together. So let's say you're not good at doing the words, but you want to compose for local advertisements, podcasts, those kind of things. Then you have to pay attention to what they want. If you're a good jingle writer or something like that, you look at those kind of things. Again, sell and license your backing track. Put ads at music schools. There's a lot of music schools that do not have they don't have recording sides, so they don't have they don't really talk about recording. They don't talk about going out and performing live and getting your band together, those kind of things. And so you can put an ad in for anywhere you're going, that kind of stuff. So it's important for you to understand that music and words together make a song. So whether you're great with words or you're great with music, that means you're a songwriter. Because I've had some people say, "Oh, I'm a producer," and I say, "What does that mean to you?" And they say, "Oh, I make beats." And I go, "Okay, if you make beats and somebody puts the words to it, then you're a songwriter." And they said, "Oh, well, but I do all the production around." I said, "Now you're a producer. You put the other hat on, right?" So it's important that you're getting not only credit for each of those, but also be making money to do those kind of things. We needed somebody to help us write sheet music because one of my artists was going into a couple events and we had a backing band. And so he didn't have it. We all know there's a program for that, but he wasn't going to sit here and learn that. So when we found somebody found her for us. She wasn't even in our state. We would send her what we were looking for, and she sent it to us the next day, $35. Like, yes, we have all of our music written out, right? And so when he started going in to other places, and they're going, "Wow, what happened? Did you learn a program?" And like, we have a girl, right? So, and we started sharing her information, and she got so busy that she said, "Stop sending people to me now," because there's so many people who need that kind of music. They could be playing at churches, at Broadway, acting, just any kind of place where they have a backup band, those kind of things. They need that kind of stuff, and you could just start a little job doing that kind of stuff, right? If you're co-write with a lyric writer, Elton John and Bernie Taupin, they found each other, and that's how Elton became popular because, Bernie was doing the words and he was doing the music and singing and getting it happening. That's just where when you go to an open mic night or you go to a jam or something like that, even if you're watching people, this is where you get to meet somebody who maybe is your other counterpart. So it's okay to collaborate. Sometimes to come out with the best product when you collaborate. Music production coordinator, rehearsing musicians for the studio, those kind of things. If you know a lot of musicians and you're really musical and you can kind of listen to all parts, then you might want to consider doing that, those kind of things. And then you know what? Join a songwriting group. There's plenty of them around. So I want you to start thinking about those things because you meet other songwriters. Sometimes there's actually songwriting groups. I know one that I can recommend to you if you'd like. Harriet Schock does online and in-person small groups, 8 to 10 people once a week for 10 weeks. Very reasonable, and you get a project, and you deliver things every single week. Sometimes you just need a little help, and sometimes you need to look at those things. So there's a lot of great groups online and in person that you might want to consider looking at those kind of things. So for me, that's just my advice when you start looking at these kind of things. Anybody that I actually talk to and I start working with them, or even if I don't work with them, I start asking them, what kind of music skills do you have? Maybe we can get a little job started that's around whatever you do instead of you giving me coffee at Starbucks, right? So everybody has to make a living, and I understand that. But if we can get you into a job that's independent, that you can do sometimes on your own and call your own shots. So we're always talking about that. It starts with the music, it starts with your skills. So please start thinking about that stuff. So we'll have an interview coming up next with Teddy Adranis, who I've known for a long time, who started with session work, started with an original band, started with um, doing session work, which made him a touring musician. And so we'll see him next, and we had a really long interview, so I'm gonna try to like get down to the nitty gritty for you, and we'll get that next time so you can see it. We're also looking for musicians with interesting music jobs or music careers. Make a suggestion. We will be glad to interview anybody that you want us to interview if they're willing to do that. So you can just go to musicbizmentors@gmail.com and you can email us, and we'll be glad to take your suggestions, those kind of things. So hopefully some of these things are starting to help you. The goal of all of this is to listen to people who are making it and showing you that you may start doing one thing that leads you to something else that leads to a lifetime career. And so just sending you these different kinds of ideas and then exploring each one all begins with you knowing your instrument, being able to songwrite, right? And that's what we're talking about with these things. So you can make it as a musician. You can make a living at it as a musician. If you want, yes, there are people who turn into stars, those kind of things. But there are a lot of musicians out here making a living at music, calling their own shots, and loving it. And there's no reason why you can't do that too. So we are going to be coming up with some free coaching sessions. So you can also get on our newsletter if you just go to thatmusicbizmentors.com, and you can get on the newsletter for us. So please share this with other musicians you think that want to see it. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you for joining us.